Going through some of the pending motions and the court order in the Karen Reed case, we learned that Trooper Proctor is going before the full disciplinary trial on January 15th, 2025, and that permanent discipline, I read that as potential firing, is on the table. Trooper Proctor was the lead investigator or the case investigator on the Karen Reed trial. His text messages came out in the trial. They have asked for even more information from him while this has been wandering through. How this will impact the retrial is going to be very interesting because there are some foundational things that Trooper Proctor did with regard to evidence in the case that he alone did. So if he is terminated, how does that make him look at a witness? And can, as a witness, he look any worse than he did in the first trial? We'll see, but we should have information about what happens with Trooper Proctor soon. And based on the disclosure filed to the court, we know that after the disciplinary action is completed, that everything from that disciplinary action and the hearing and the disciplinary trial will go to the defense. So if anything, the defense will have even more information ahead of the second trial. We also covered the fact that the Commonwealth put the defense on notice that they may seek to exclude the accident reconstruction biomechanical engineers that testified from ARKA. That is an abbreviation for their company. These are the experts that testified in the defense case in chief that weren't hired by Karen Reed's defense team. They were brought in as part of the federal investigation of this case and then testified about their findings. The biomechanical engineers determined that John O'Keefe's injuries were not consistent with a vehicle collision in any fashion. And they had some of the clearest testimony in the first trial. And I imagine that testimony was incredibly persuasive to the jury, as it was incredibly persuasive to anyone, I think, watching the trial. They were good witnesses with a substantial amount of expertise and weren't hired by either party involved in the underlying trial, which is a very unique circumstance. The fact that that testimony came in the first trial and then the Commonwealth is pursuing a second trial on all the same charges is still a bit wild to me. Then we went through the court's order with regard to Dr. Russell. Dr. Russell testified in a 2-day hearing to determine whether she would be able to be an expert witness or not regarding the injuries to John O'Keefe's arm. Did they come from the vehicle collision or did they come from a dog? Her testimony consistently has been that those injuries are more consistent with a dog than they are with a car. The court is going to allow Dr. Russell to testify, but definitely put a bit of an asterisk in her ruling saying that it's noted that Dr. Russell did not compare the dentition of the dog in question to the injuries. So I imagine we're going to see another report from Dr. Russell now that the court said, well, you need to consider the dog in question. Dr. Russell never testified that a specific dog caused the injury to John O'Keefe, just that it was a dog, not a car. And so the court bringing that up was interesting to me, but I think we're going to see more about the Chloe of it all as this case moves towards trial, because the prosecution said, and we heard for the first time, that they went and found Chloe, wherever Chloe is in Vermont, and took molds of Chloe's teeth and measured Chloe's paws and claws and the rest of it. So we're going to learn more about Chloe as we continue moving through trial. But for now, Dr. Russell will be allowed to testify. Dr. Russell will be allowed to testify that this was from a dog, not a vehicle. And the court put a note in there that I think is going to warrant Dr. Russell going back through more information and submitting a supplemental report. I think that's going to be the result. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss updates on your favorite cases, you're going to need the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. That way you can stay in the loop on the cases that matter most to you, and you never know when you're going to catch feelings for a new case. So make sure you get it for free on iOS and Android. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a Law Nerd.